A lot of the time I was underestimated.
As Soldier Boy, as a fighter, and feel like you kind of have to have that aggressive side.
In being in check of your emotions is one of the most important things you can do as a professional.
What has fighting taught you about fear?
Fear just electrifies your whole body.
What feeds your soul now?
Wearing multiple hats, father, coach, I feel like I'm becoming the best human I could be, if that answers your question.
It does.
I'm a firm believer that martial arts is the key to any situation. What it does do is it makes you check yourself. You can walk around with the attitude that I'm the Holy Grail. You walk onto the mat, checks you immediately. Greatness is not something that's bestowed upon you. You've got to go and find it.
And the new EFC Africa.
Most people, their fear is that they can't protect themselves. I put the pressure on you, you'll handle the stress of life on the mat. I've run into a brick wall more times than most people should.
Middleweight champion, Garreth Soldier Boy McLellan.
We put so much effort into each of these episodes, and I honestly love what I do. And if you could do the smallest favor for me, it'll be quicker than making a cup of coffee. Just hit that subscribe button or like and follow on the audio channels. Thank you so much. Garreth, what's the biggest misconception about you? Not just as a fighter, but as a person.
I don't know. It depends on how you see that. I mean, who's giving you that answer? From my eyes, I feel like a lot of the time I was underestimated or am underestimated. I don't think people truly see my capabilities and often overlook me. And in that, people often doubt you and they don't give you the credit that you deserve. But that could be my own emotional space. I think a lot of people also used to see me as quite an angry, aggressive person by nature, but I'm not. I'm generally quite soft. I'm not actually a violent person. Like, I don't enjoy being violent or angry towards people. It really affects me quite deeply in my soul. Not that it's not there, that it's definitely there. I can be. But I always walk away from this as a scenario where I get angry, or if I get upset about something, I always walk away from it feeling like a bit empty because I've allowed myself not to be what I want to be. I think people also see me as quite hard, as a hard person. I don't know. I think I'm quite withdrawn in myself. Like, I'm quite introverted in a way. I don't think a lot of people know that. But just over time, I've learned how to deal with those feelings myself. And sometimes I'm awkward around people. Like, sometimes I find myself acting out in a certain way because I feel awkward or feel uncomfortable. And I don't know. Those are moments about being honest with who you are.
And as Soldier Boy, and as a fighter in the EFC and the UFC, I feel like you kind of have to have that aggressive side. And how do you turn that off when you're outside of the ring?
I think I controlled it to the space where I wanted to be the ultimate professional. I learned very early on that being in check of your emotions is one of the most important things you can do as a professional. In any sport, you have to be in control of your emotion. I'm not saying that you can't feel them or not, but you must understand them, and you must understand what they bring out, and why are you feeling that, and then you need to deal with them immediately, and understand that those emotions can't play any factor in the way you perform. We almost spoke of like this empty vessel when we were fighting, that when it came time to train and perfect our art, we were empty vessels. We just went. There was no emotion to what we were doing. There was no thought pattern. This is the skill we're learning. We learn it at our best of our abilities. We program ourselves on that. So I just programmed myself to not allow that side of me to come out. After I stopped fighting, it became a different story. It was a lot harder to control, because obviously if you're fighting with somebody physically all day, you get that anger and aggression out. Whereas now I had to teach myself how to harness it and direct it in the correct path. And that's, again, it goes to the space of understanding your emotion, not being afraid of it. Like, I think people, I'm scared. Why am I scared? Or I'm fearful, or I'm sad, or why? There's a reason why you are, and you address it, and you've got to work through it. Not to say that it doesn't show itself every now and again. I work very hard to keep that under control. But that's, I suppose, the everyday battles, is understanding your demons and being able to control them.
So you mentioned fear there. What has fighting taught you about fear?
Fear is the most powerful tool that any person can possess. If you direct fear in the correct manner, you can be invincible. There's such a euphoria in the fear that it's almost like everything slows down around you. It just awakens your body to a space that I don't think you can. Anger is just blind rage. You can't control it. Sadness is deep. It's within your soul, fear just electrifies your whole body. And in that, you either panic and don't do anything, or you can control that fear and utilize it to keep you on point. I mean, I grip to fear better than I did any other emotion, because I could utilize it to put myself in a space where there was nothing around me. It was just my task that I had in front of me. And often going into fights, it was the thing that I would feed the most, so that it would waken me up when I was making the walk, when I was getting in there, that I was 100% locked in on what my objective is, and there was nothing else that mattered until that time was ended.
So were you one of those people, when there's a storm and everything's kind of crashing around you, that you became that calm, level-headed person?
I feel super comfortable inside chaos, to put it kind of bluntly. Like, I find I thrive better in there. I'm way more alert. I don't know. I think over time I've learned how to take that particular focus, and be able to apply it all the time, and not have to rely on the emotion to bring it. I think, the brain is a computer. You wire it, you do things a few times over and over and over and over again. It understands it, and then you're able to reprint, as you go along.
And how do you control your mind when you're going into, like, when you're standing in the walkout tunnel ready for a fight? How do you control your mind and your emotions when, you've got all that adrenaline building up?
So at that space, I was already locked in. Like, I didn't really have any, I knew what my job was, and that's what I was there to do. I didn't feel anything. There was no anger, no hatred, no emotion towards my opponent. Crowd didn't really play a factor at that stage. The pre that, I went through every emotion. I faced every single emotion, but I faced it head on. There's always a way. No matter what happens, there's always a way to put things right, or to prove your innocence, or show your capabilities. There's always a way to make that happen. And it's the ability to just keep yourself in check when facing those things, and not allow the emotion to be a factor, and say, okay, right, what am I dealing with? Bring it. There's always a way to solve the problem that's in front of you. So when I went through different emotions and think pre-hand, I dealt with them. I didn't allow them to become a lingering thing that followed me to the fight. I dealt with it then immediately. Okay, this is the thing. I had NLP coaches, and I had various doctors I was working with, and psychologists and stuff like that. So the problem that presented itself, I immediately addressed it. I would say, hey, this is a problem. What do you think? I spoke to my coaches all the time. I tried to gain as much information on everything, as much as possible all the time, because information is the key to everything. And then you can also assess the problems that are in front of you. So a lot of the time, the emotion that came out or things that came out was just very simple, basic things. It's generally the small fire that causes the most damage. It's that little tinder you don't see that's left in the felt that burns the whole thing to the ground. But if there's a big fire, you can see it, you can handle it, you generally pour it out without any thingy. But when you can't see what's coming, that's the problem. So, and it's often the small things that loop you, that make you crazy. You be obsessive about them. And I just learned how to handle those things. Again, not being in that process and that mindset and that professionalism and the way that I'd been disciplined for a long period of time coming out of fighting, it's a new process. You got to learn all over again. You don't have that same, I'm not in that same space. I think I work really hard to put myself in that same space. I think it's all a piece. Everything's just a piece that gets put together. We were chatting about this before, making sure your body's in the correct manner, making sure that your soul's in the right space, making sure that your mind is in the right space. The people around you are the correct people for you. What are you investing in? Are you investing in things that are giving back to you? Are you doing good deed? I don't by no means deem myself the perfect Christian or whatever the case may be. In fact, I'm probably at the back of the line, but I know that there's certain principles that if I execute them, they make my soul happy. That feeds my soul. It's the same as if I make my body strong. It feeds my body. My energy is strong. I have energy. I see things differently. If you wake up in the morning with a mindset of this, the emotion that comes along gets magnified. But if I'm dialed in and I'm in my space that I'm supposed to, this emotion comes along and it's not actually that big. So you deal with it and you move on. But if you've in a space where your energy is low, your mindset is different, you beating yourself up, that little tinder comes along and it's, oh my gosh, it's going to burn everything down.
What feeds your soul now?
I think my gym, my investment into the people in the gym and seeing their growth. The most difficult thing in the world is to teach other human beings. And jiu-jitsu is not about, it's not just about breaking arms and grappling. In jiu-jitsu, it teaches you how to be a better human, how to respect those around you, how to be disciplined, how to be focused, how to be gentle with those that need to be gentle, how to be physical with those that need to be physical. It's just this constant moving board all the time, a game of chess, but it's just constantly reshuffling all the time on you. You never get a grip on it. And you now got to teach people how to apply themselves to that. And then how do they apply that in the outside world? When you're wearing multiple hats, father, coach, athletes, businessman, putting all these things on and trying to make them morph into something that is like acceptable to the world, and then not trying to lose yourself in it as well. It takes you through many phases. The growth is impeccable in it though as well. If I look at myself today, still carry all the flaws and skeletons in the closet that I've had for a long time, but I feel like I'm becoming the best human I could be. So I mean, in that I constantly work towards that. If that answers your question.
It does. And so the gym that you're mentioning now, the jiu-jitsu gym, is 8292. And the only reason we're having this conversation now is because my girlfriend also trains. She does jiu-jitsu at 8292. And my first experience, being someone I've never fought in my life, it was quite an intimidating experience. And when I got there, I was so shocked to see what I thought it was going to be like. I thought it was going to be like this rough and tough gym where, people don't even say hello to you because they've got like these massive egos and stuff like that. I walked in and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought everyone had respect for each other. And the thing that shocked me the most, or not shocked me, but the thing that I really took away from it and enjoyed, is that I saw the kids, the guys in their 50s, girls, guys, whatever it was. It didn't matter what belt you had. It didn't matter your skill level, but there was a feeling of a family and a support system.
So I'm a firm believer that martial arts is the key to any situation. I truly believe that. It teaches you things that there's not many places you can find. What it does do is it makes you check yourself very quickly. You can walk around with this attitude of, I'm the biggest, I'm strongest, I'm the baddest, and you come on the mat and you're not. That checks you immediately. You can walk around with the attitude that I'm the Holy Grail. You walk onto the mat, checks you immediately. I've been doing it 25 years. I can walk on the mat and it'll check me quickly. Where I'm like, that was a tough day, or like, wow, that, and in that you're repairing yourself. I'm not going to anybody else for the repair. You have guidance, you have people around you that are feeding into you, your community. If you teach your community correctly, kindness, love, respect, honor the mat, respect the mat. The mat is the teacher. I'm just the captain of the ship. I just steer it through the ocean. But on that little square, you will find out the most about yourself, and you will be faced with the questions you don't want to answer in life, and you will have to answer them. So there's repair, there's forward movement, there's growth, there's confidence, there's strength, there's courage, there's character. All these things get defined within that space. I've been around the world. I've seen many gyms. I've been in a lot of places. Like, I've seen the angry gyms. I've seen the aggressive bad boys, fighter gyms. I've seen the community gyms. I've seen the community gyms with toxicity. I've seen community gyms like that are just about, everybody just being themselves. That's what we try and mold our gym on, where you're a person. You have an identity. You be yourself. No one here can judge you for who you are, because we all carry our own scars, our own battles, our own demons, our own skeletons. We all have our own things that we face on a daily basis, and we respect each other for that. And I think if you do that, you build a very good, strong community, and you must be there for each other. The world is an exceptionally tough place, as I said before, and people get super beat up, and especially young kids. You see young kids come into the gym and that struggle from a young age, 14s, 10s, 7s. They struggle with life for various different reasons, and it just gives them a safe space. I think there's nothing more powerful than being able to protect yourself. I think most people, their fear is that they can't protect themselves emotionally, physically, whatever the case may be. I put you through the ring a few times, the emotional battles, you start to fight them and win. I put the pressure on you, you'll handle the stress of life on the mat. Because if you can handle that kind of pressure on the thing where you're suffocating, and the fear and the panic and the tiredness and the exhaustion and not knowing what to do, and the frustration of getting caught, there's just multiple questions get answered, and you tick the boxes. It's been my education. It's my degree, People go and read books and study, and get their MBA, get their doctorates, become doctors, whatever the case may be. My education came through martial arts, and I can guarantee that I'm as wise and switched on as a person who has his MBA. I apply all the tools that I have from martial arts. I apply to my business and how I run my business and how I deal with my staff and how I invest. And in that, I've only seen success from it. Discipline and hard work is your winner every time. If you can, I teach my kids, I teach the kids in my class, I teach the kids in the students on the mat, be disciplined and hard work, and you will overcome anything.
So your time where you were defending your title, one of those people was Dricus.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've heard that you and Dricus are quite good mates. What do you think him as a person back then, what did you see in him?
Oh man, just self-belief. I mean, I'd crossed paths with Dricus a few times. It wasn't the first time. He was a young kid. He came into our gym but he just has this incredible self-belief in himself. Like it's his weapon. And he learned hard work through failing at a stage. And that's why people like failure is the most powerful lesson. Like if you really look at the failure, if you take back and you say, shit, where was I wrong? What have I done? Like, how did I mess this up? Not what did this person's fault, that person. How did I mess it up? Extreme ownership. There's a book by Jocko Wilkin called Extreme Ownership in the Navy SEALs, and they talk about how they apply a Navy SEAL mentality to the business world, and it's the most powerful thing is to take extreme ownership in failure and not point the finger at everybody else. Say, how did I mess this thing up and what I do need to do to make it better? And then once you do that, you 75% of the issue's gone. And then it starts becoming about the small details. We need more of this. I need more of this. I need more of this. We need to do this. So, I mean, he had this, he's got this incredible self-belief in himself. And then he learned through that, he learned hard work. He's disciplined. He's discipline, hard work, self-belief. The perfect chain to greatness. Greatness is not something that's bestowed upon you. You've got to go and find it. And it's a gift that's given to you when you outwork every other human being on the planet.
And you mentioned that in the beginning that life's hard, life's difficult. Not everyone has a paved road for them. When was a time in your life that you felt like you got knocked down? And how did you get back up?
Too many to count. It's too many to count. So, like I said, my lessons have been learned through practicality and not through theory. I learn in the moment. That's how I learn. It's how I absorb information. It's how I see things differently. So I've run into a brick wall more times than most people should. Maybe I started to get too comfortable with running into a brick wall because I was learning great lessons from them and got complacent and allowed that to be a factor. I don't know. But I've faced many challenges in my life, and the discipline and the hard work and going back to basics and taking ownership, taking extreme ownership right from the beginning, instead of blaming everybody else. Understanding why you made it fail, why you are in the position that you are, and you will generally deal, like I said, with majority of what's in front of you, and then the rest is the finer details that you need to work through. And maybe that's the help of somebody else. Maybe that's solving a problem that is through me. Like, there's always a way. Any problem that presents itself is that we just get consumed by the problem and not taking a step back and going, okay, how do we address this? What is, just unpack it and go, okay, cool, that's my picture. I think that's, I'm not a writing guy. I don't like to write. I don't think I see everything in pictures. Like, I unpack it in front of me. This is the problem of what X, Y, and Z. How do I piece it together so that we can fix it? And with a bit of composure, patience, understanding, you're able to see the picture. And if I can see it as a whole, then it's easy to put back. You know what I mean? If it's not, well, then sometimes you've got to accept the failure. Take it on the chin and just know that it is what it is, and can't just learn from it and don't allow it to happen again. You know? But if I'm running in a circle and doing the same thing over and over again, and don't get me wrong, I've done that. I've looped on myself more occasions than one should, but it's about always just trying to get that 1% every day, just 1% more better, more in control, emotionally, physically more in control, mentally more in control. You know, I've been through some typically, I mean, the last year, this year, it's been a tough year. It hasn't been easy, you know, but I'm faithful. I trust that God has got my back 100%, and He's shown me every single time that I've ever been in spaces or in a scenario, in anything, that if I ask, He's there for me. And trust me, I'm often asking for His help because I've messed things up, but He never forsakes me. My own attitude towards things, when I see things like, okay, you fucked this up. Sorry, excuse my language. You fucked this thing up. You got to fix it now. You know, taking that ownership. Shit. Okay, cool. How do I fix it? Going through the process, you know, working my way through whatever's in front of me. Forgiving myself, you know, you also can't fix the problem and you don't forgive yourself for the mistakes that you made. Because if you do, that'll eat for you from the inside, that rot. So being aware of that, the unforgiveness and the sadness that brings yourself, and dealing with the emotion. Yeah, and just grinding, just putting your head down and going for it, you know. Can't stand still. It's a motto that I've carried through my life. You cannot stand still. The moment you stand still, you're dead in the water, and that's when you start to drown. So just keep moving.
I think that's a brilliant place to end today's episode. Gareth, thanks for coming today, for having this conversation. And I think it's cool to also, even for me, you know, just obviously we haven't met too many times, but just to see a different side of you, it was really cool.
You know, the funny thing is that I always used to be very reserved in these things and try to be very technical in about the way that I approach things and the things that I say. And, you know, I always got to worry about how people are going to see me and what they think. And you also get to a stage where you really don't care what people think about you anymore. And, you know, that I know that I'm doing the best I can every day to be the best version of myself. I have been to the bottom of the mountain, had to climb back to the top. I've slipped a little bit, you know, I've maybe dropped a few meters, but I pick myself up and I go again. And, you know, I see things differently. Like we said, it's changed a lot over the years. Everything, even now, it's changed. And if you talk to me in 6 months, it probably would have changed as well. But I think I'm in a space where I've got myself the most put together, and that I've been in a very long time. And I've just found in that honesty is the key. You have to be honest everywhere. And if you make mistakes, you've got to accept them and put your hand up. And generally that'll set you free, and you will see the world differently, and you will be a lot wiser.